Obvious Buttlicker. As interpreted by Jack Hand. In today's exciting episode of All My Interwebs, shit-breathed Obvious Buttlicker arises to express objection to the fair use practices of common YouTube commentary uploaders. This media shill claims the ability to source corporate media outlets for subject matter and content without payment for doing so constitutes unethical behavior. The Obvious Buttlicker specifically names CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, The New York Times, and The Washington Post as the vulnerable helpless entity in need of his advocacy, befitting them to the position of a victim at the hands of the copywrong abuses of the public and in general, humanity as a whole. While stating that it is not illegal to use sourced material if cited under fair use, he then goes on to claim that this adherence to the rules is unethical. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary website defines ethical behavior as conforming to accepted standards of conduct. Therefore, it is a fool's suggestion to appraise that by following the rules concerning anything one is committing unethical behavior. I think the word he was looking for was morality. What is legal will always be ethical, if not moral. In doing so he presents the issue as one of morality and ethics. Delightful. Moving on. The Obvious Buttlicker explains how the use of archiving links diverts web traffic away from corporate media websites. In a brief moment of honesty, he asks, why would you visit their website? Very good question indeed, young taint slurper. I have no answer suitable to a reasonable translation. My apologies. There is, however, greatly uplifting news to be found in all of this. The cumulative effect of the loss of revenues, coupled with the increase in YouTube viewership, is reported to have resulted in a dire situation for the aging, decrepit legacy media and their newer generations of propagandists, bringing their survival into question. The Obvious Buttlicker then goes on to explain that 90% of all media is owned by only 5 entities. According to Wikipedia, the correct number is 6, actually, but the point still stands that these companies stand at risk of being absorbed by the same companies that already own them. In their desperation to prevent bankruptcy, clickbait production intensifies into a cycle of self-inflicted integrity degradation and continual corrosion of public trust. This epic fail only serves to ensure the fate that awaits them as they slip further into oblivion. This destiny which awaits the plague of prostitution is indeed grim, a deadly diagnosis for which the Obvious Buttlicker has deemed incurable. My little plague doctor wholeheartedly concurs and celebrates the passing of this disease upon the human condition with great joy and Lulz. The death throw's last-ditch effort of an unlikely resuscitation as presented by the Obvious Buttlicker is to charge a kickback or surcharge to users whom cite the media outlets for the privilege of criticizing their blatant failures. Perhaps shedding truth upon the lies which have resulted in so many of the situations which lead to the news stories which the corporate media convoluted even more lies from is bad for business. Who knew copy-paster would be so filling and the telephone game so entertaining? Obviously buttlicking leaves a bad taste in one's mouth, so the Obvious Buttlicker then takes a refreshing drink of reality and washes the taste from his palate momentarily to present the problems with his solution. This video represents an approximation of how much water was required. A momentary break to breathe fresh air is allowed when the Obvious Buttlicker pulls his head out of corporate media's ass. He makes a small recognition of the effects of demonetization of small market YouTube content providers, and token admission that fees for criticism equates to monetized censorship. Good for him. The Obvious Buttlicker brings home his virgin upload, and finishes her off, in the truest new fag fashion, as he humbly critiques his own performance and reported technical capabilities before committing himself to general faggotry by inviting you to like, comment, and share his video which he made commenting on other videos, suggesting that those commentators pay the creators of the videos of which they cite. Indeed, we have searched the archives of the greater metropolitan Fagotstani Hall of Records, and no stranger pyramid scheme sales pitch has ever been concocted. Realizing the futility of his presentation, the obvious Buttlicker concludes that all schemes are destined to fail in the end. Shilling for corporate media creates a murky and hostile environment, so having sufficiently muddied the waters, the obvious Buttlicker finally performs the crawfish maneuver and retreats to under the pile of shit from which he originated, leaving a trail of empty social media accounts in his wake in the hopes that a more substantive host will fall for the parasite's bait. The obvious Buttlicker returns to suckling the hypnotic teat of cognitive poison, rendering the continuance of mental slumber. And thus concludes the obvious Buttlicker's attempts to distribute his abundant surplus of corporate ass crack upon humanity, just another shill recessing to the oblivion which awaits the entities for which he so blindly defends. Meanwhile, across the great spans of the interwebs, in the rolling hills of Kekstonia, little Chechnya celebrates Lulztoberfest. The dirt farmers, knowing that if you tickle the earth with a hoe, she laughs with a harvest, have collected a great wealth of corporate media manure and properly sown their creative seed and fertilized their cognitive fields. These creative agriculturists present their bountiful crops of memes, GIFs, webums, and videos openly and freely for all to feast upon, providing the broad nutritional balance so required by free thinkers and the creative mind. Every sketch modifies endlessly, having a life of its own, breathing fire through the artists, whom in turn warm everyone with their ability to forever provide fresh visual expressions which are shared by all. The orator's gift is of conversation, and through such skills plainly describes the flavors for all to comprehend and enjoy. Everyone's a critic, and laughter perpetuates as understanding always leads to freedom. And what's a festival without the music? This is Lulztoberfest in Little Chechnya, not the hell-on killer school for the daft, all-class reunion and comet ping-pong. Music is at liberty, just as every song which sings its freedom resonates that flight from ear to ear. Hearts and minds meld together in the endless availability of tones, beats, rhymes and rhythms, soothing every beast within the soul. Feet shuffle and bodies sway in a dance of collective individualism, all ring around the rosy, no spaghetti pockets, only posies. The ashes of the smoldering media falling like snowflakes on our tongues. Oh, how easily they melt down, bringing the joy of a child's laughter across the interwebs for all to delight in, drawing our interpretation to its conclusion. I suppose, given the context, that I now owe my 2 cents worth to the conversation, which the obvious Buttlicker is free to take from the crack of my ass. I do not know what to say in a case so surprising, so unlooked for and so novel. Instead, I would say here's something that was heard from a non-ecclesiastic of the most eminent degree. Some, merely to contradict what I had said, did not scruple to cast doubt upon things they had seen with their own eyes again and again. But, if you're really truthful with yourself, it's a wonderful guidance. Love is the greatest refreshment in life. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. Time heals, and experience teaches that the secret of happiness is in service to others. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. Then again, what do you want a meaning for? Life is a desire, not a meaning. I suggest you learn the rules like a pro, so you can break them like an artist. I'd sooner be called a successful crook than a destitute monarch. As for politics, I'm an anarchist. I hate governments and rules and fetters. Can't stand caged animals. People must be free. Think of the power of the universe, turning the earth, growing the trees. That's the same power within you, if you'll only have the courage and the will to use it. You have to believe in yourself. That's the secret. Beauty is the spirit of all things, an exaltation, a psalm of life and death, of good and evil, of vileness and purity, of joy and pain, of hate and love, all of it incarnate in the object we see or hear. It is an empathy, a feeling into art or nature that we observe, all of it a singing harmony to our senses. The hidden harmony is better than the obvious. Nothing is more important than the moving image. Except for my cup of coffee in the morning. Making fun is serious business because a day without laughter is a day wasted. Laughter is the tonic, the relief, the surcease from pain. In the end, everything is a gag. I'm an old weed. The more I'm cut down, the more I spring up again. If any of you cry at my funeral, I'll never speak to you again. With Luvz and Lulz, Jack.